All right, I'm really excited for this. I'm excited for these codes to land deeper. I know that I have some of you from Intuitive Edge here, but then also I talk a lot about this online as well. So a lot of people have found me from that, and I'm just excited to lay this all out, right? Lay out exactly how to move past your limiting beliefs, your resistance, your doubt that comes up that tells you that you can't have what you want, because there is a way to do it that is integrated, that does feel empowering, that does feel like you actually aren't, like this process doesn't feel so shit and drained and you get burnt out, right? Like it's just, there's a way to do this in a really empowering way and in a way that you can really allow in your manifestations simultaneously. So that's what we're going to be diving into. Grateful to be here, or grateful to have you all. Excited and grateful. I'm so excited and grateful you're here as well. Okay, so let's dive into it. So I actually received this image in a meditation, and I really wanted to like do my best to actually present it for you today, like how they showed me in my meditation, because this, like when I saw this visual in my mind, I was like, that's what's happening on an energetic level, right? Because it's easy to understand things that you can see, but then when we're talking about the energetic realm, you know, it can be so hard to understand these concepts. This visual is so cool. Yay, I'm glad. Okay, so let's dive into it. So you are always manifesting, right? When we talk about manifestation, you are always manifesting, whether you're intentionally trying to or not. It doesn't matter, right? You are always manifesting, whether you want to be or you don't want to be. And what is manifesting is your beliefs, right? Your beliefs impact your dominant vibration, and that is what is attracting your experience. So what you believe about the world, what you believe about yourself. Now, this should be the most liberating thing you hear today, because it means you have the power to create a reality you desire just through being intentional with your feelings and your beliefs alone. There is no limit to what you can call into your life. I'm talking so much money than you know what to do with in your bank account, traveling the world, living in another country, manifesting a dream business, manifesting a dream career, manifesting a completely different lifestyle for yourself, literally whatever you want. The other day, I literally saw a TikTok of somebody who practices this work, and they were just like, yeah, I just manifest really large sums of money whenever I need it. Like she'll manifest like, 10 grand or 20 grand or 30 grand whenever she needs it. She doesn't have a job. She's just like, okay, whenever I need money, I'm going to manifest the money. And that's how she lives her life. No job, just that's what she does. Because that is literally the reality that is available to you. And you can literally have anything that you want. And this is why I'm so excited to like teach this work. And this is why I've like made it like my life's mission to get this message across, because you aren't restricted in life. There are no limitations to what you can attract, right? It is literally just your mind, your beliefs, your own self-perceived limiting beliefs, doubt, and resistance is what limits your experience here. And that's what we're going to be walking through today. So I know that sometimes that statement can be frustrating to hear for some. I know that used to piss me off. When people would say that, I would be like, fuck off. Fuck off. Easy for you to say, right? It used to piss me off so much. But the thing is, it can feel like we are restricted. It can feel like we are limited, particularly when that's been your experience for majority of your life, particularly if that's all you know. It can be really hard to see a different perspective. And I get it. Like I was exactly the same way, right? I felt like I was always like limited in life with like money, with everything. So when I would hear this statement, it was so easy for me to just be like, whatever, right? So I know that it also can get to a point where you do open up to this world a little bit, right? And you're just like, oh, okay, I can get whatever I want. I can attract my desires. And then you start to do this limiting belief work. And then it feels like no matter what you do, nothing is shifting, nothing is changing. You still continue to create the same reality that you're experiencing. And it feels like you're not really creating the change that you want to see in your life. So that can also be an experience, right? It's like you do open up to this world and then it's not going in in the way that you have been told that it's supposed to go. And then this eventually leads to loss of faith in yourself and loss of faith in the manifesting process in general. So this happens when people begin to intentionally manifest their dream life, but then they begin to brush up against their old reality, right? So it's when this happens, when you're like, okay, I want to go up here, universe. I want to get to my desires. As you can see on the graph, I want to go up here. And the universe is like, amazing, great, let's do it. But then as you like travel up, 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 up to get there, you notice all of the things in between, right? You notice the resistance, the doubt, the limiting beliefs, the feelings within that actually reject your desired reality from coming to fruition. Right? And this is where most people actually get stuck, and they stay in this like in between where they drop down to separation and then they go back up to the in between stage, and they never truly actually get what they desire, or maybe they get like aspects of what they desire, right? And it's because they don't know how to move beyond their doubt, their fears, their limitations, their restrictions, beyond what they can see happening in their physical reality right now. So this happens when you don't properly address underlying energies. They do continue to manifest into your reality. If you don't know how to get out of this whole section here, where you're dealing with the doubt, the resistance, the limitation, the separations, all of the things, the in-between phase where you're not seeing your manifestation come yet, right? If you don't know how to hold yourself through those moments, then you are constantly going to be on this timeline where it's just constantly up and down, up and down, up and down. Like this is a representation of energy. So I'm gonna dive into it now, because this is how my guides were basically showing me what the fuck was happening on an energetic level whenever my energy would drop down to feeding my doubt, my limitations, my resistance. And it was like continuously feeding that area, right? Continuously going through ego deaths, continuously struggling, continuously being in the energy of like, this is wrong with me, that is wrong with me, I feel like this all the time, and why is that doubt there? Like all of that energy, right? So this is, let's look at it. Okay, I'm going to move this, the chat. So separation is complete separation. It's complete, I don't think I can get what I want, right? And then you get into this energy where you're like, okay, you know what? I can get what I want. I deserve to have what I want, right? So you start to enter the in-between phase, right? Right. The in-between is where you brush up against your old reality, right? The old things that you've manifest, what you're in now, right? But you're like, okay, I can get what I want. And you're holding the energy. You're like, yeah, I get my desires. I get my desires. And then you reach like a point where you're like, you know, it's like a kind of little check-in point where you're like, oh, I've been holding my desires, but they're not here. Why aren't they here? I was holding them and then they're not here yet. So then it goes, maybe this isn't right. Maybe this isn't true. Maybe I won't get what I want. Maybe I'm like, this doesn't work and I'm being tricked here or whatever. My mind used to do that to me a lot because I was a complete atheist prior to coming into this world. I was like, maybe I'm in a cult. This is exactly what I've been experiencing. Yeah, that's the experience, right? So it's like, you go down and you're like, maybe like for me, it's like, what if I'm in a cult and this isn't right and blah, 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 blah. And then I can so relate. Yeah. So then I go, no, it is real. I've experienced a little bit of it before. I know it's real. I can feel it's real within me. You get to this point of empowerment. You're like, yes, I can do this. You hold the energy. Oh my God, the cult thing comes up for me too. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's so funny. Like I genuinely had to like stop and ask myself, I'm like, is this a fucking cult? And I've gotten like trapped in it. Like what's going on here? And I always find it so funny because I'm like, let's be real guys, because it's important to question how these things like sit with you, right? It's important to sit there and be like, okay, is this something that I genuinely believe, or is it something that I'm being told that's actually not the truth? So it's so powerful to question and have moments of questioning, and then you can be like, okay, is this something I want to continue on with, or is it not? So basically I have moment like, you know, having a moment of resistance and doubt and, you know, it's not working and why isn't it working? And then I hold the energy, and then I go straight up to, okay, yep. Like I'm holding the energy. I'm literally just about to get to my desire. Look at that gap. And then I'm just like, it's like another little check-in point, right? So it's like, where is it though? I just held the energy for 2 days, universe. What the fuck? Like, why haven't you brought me what I want? I've been doing my affirmations. I've been doing my visualizations. What do you mean? And then again, it's like, no, this isn't true. This doesn't work. I suck. Blah, 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 blah. This isn't going to work. This is culty, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is for you, your doubt, your resistance, your limiting beliefs all come up, and then you go all the way down there. And then you're trying to get back up, and you're like, no, it's another check-in point. You're like, I'm trying to get back up. I'm trying to get back up. But then you go all the way back down again. And now you're entering separation, right? But then you work through like a little bit of your limiting beliefs, and then you get like a little bit back up into the in-between stage, but then it's like down again, you've dropped it again, right? So it's this constant. So the thing is, like, the reason why I wanted to show you this graph when they showed this to me is because it's this up and down process, right? It's this up and down, it's this wavery energy, it's this feeling like your doubt, your limiting beliefs, your resistance has you in this like chokehold, right? It's energetically pulling you, it's dragging you down, it's always there in the back of your mind, and it's like it feels just fucking draining being in the energy. It doesn't feel liberating. You don't feel free. You feel like you've gone on that, like you got attracted to this world because it was like, you know, the freedom and the lifestyle that was actually like available to you, right? So it's just like you're attracted to that reality, and then you try and do these things for yourself, but then these discrepancies in your belief system really come up, right? These like internal dialogues really come up, and they really pull on your energy. They make you doubt, and it can just be this like this constant just like wavery energy that you're in that's just not powerful. It's not why you joined this. It feels like you're trapped in your own mind constantly. It feels like it just feels like a shitty place to be, right? So this is what's happening when you are constantly in the energy of up and down, up and down, up and down, right? You can never really hold the energy to what you want, because when we're actually working on holding the energy of what we desire, when we actually can, I'll show you this in the next slide. I'm pretty sure I have it in the next slide, actually. Is that making sense before I go on? Just give me a yes. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. If it is, if it's not, tell me the truth. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So, versus your energy in this masterclass, right? This is what I'm going to be teaching you to do. So that was like this. Oh, I can't go backwards. Why can't I go backwards? Oh, no. Okay, there we go. Like this was my reality for a very long time. This is how I was trying to manifest. This was like the level of manifesting. And I would like, right, I would get to a point where I'd hold my energy, 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 get a pinch of my desires, and then I'd go all the way back down here because I didn't know how to actually handle all of this within, all of that internal conflict. So this is how I approached the manifesting game for a while, right? Until I learned how to actually do this work properly. So this is the masterclass where this cycle stops. There will be no going back to your old reality if you implement and embody what I teach you today. You will be that person everyone looks at and thinks, holy shit, they are so lucky. Why does life just constantly work for them? Why is life just constantly on their side, right? You're going to be the person that people look to and they're going to be like, holy shit, everything just constantly goes their way. And this is because you have learned how to deal with doubt, limitations, and restrictions towards yourself and your desired reality. And because of this, you will no longer spend your energy feeding the reality you don't want to manifest, and instead energetically feed the reality you do want to manifest with ease. And the longer you can maintain the energy of where you are going, of what you desire, of what you want, the faster you manifest what you want, right? And that's what I wanted to show you. So it's like in the other graph, you're going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. You can't hold the energy. And that's what the manifesting process is, right? It's the energy of actually just holding your desires, right? So the desire will come in like form of feeling and imagination, right? You'll be able to see it in your mind's eye and you'll be able to feel it. That's all you get when you first start to play around with it. The longer you hold the vibration, you continue to see where you are going, you continue to energetically interact with that timeline, you are building the energy. You are building and building and building and building the energy. You are making the energy denser and denser and denser and denser. And then eventually it gets to a point, like when you're in like the in-between phase, particularly when you get to around this phase, you'll actually start to feel your desire happening in your reality before anything actually changes in your physical reality. You will actually start to experience things start to happen. You will start to think like that version of you. You will start to just be that version of you naturally before your reality changes. And usually when you're in that stage, you're just kind of like, this is fucking weird. Like, whoa, how is this happening right now? Like, how am I in this like this in between? No, how is this happening when my reality hasn't changed? That's what I want to say. It's this feeling of like, how is this happening when my reality hasn't changed yet? I know that this happened to me when I manifested like leaving my job, and also like certain amount of like money that I wanted to call into my business. I would like think that that's just the amount of money I would have in my bank account before I had the money in my bank account, right? And then it's like a couple of days later to a week later, then I just have that money in my bank account, because that's just how normal it felt for me. I already felt like I had already stepped into that reality, right? It gets denser. You can feel it in your field. Same thing happened when I left, when I was manifesting leaving my job. For at least a month, this was happening. I wasn't getting ready to go to that job that I had. I would forget that I had shifts. I wasn't washing my uniform. I would wake up on the mornings that I would have my shifts, and I would sit there and be like, oh, so what do I need to do in my business today? And then last minute, I'd realized that I had work, and I was like, holy fucking shit. So I was late like nearly every shift, and it was the most wild experience. So that's what happens in like this phase here. And then you go, bang, you're in your desire, and then that becomes your new normal, and see how it like flatlines. But what can also happen to some people, if you don't know how to like deal with your limiting beliefs, is you can reach the peak of your desire, you get a little bit of it, which also used to happen to me, right? You get your desire, and then because you didn't properly address the doubt, the limiting beliefs, the resistance, you sabotage yourself, and you go all the way fucking down here again, and then it's just like you're starting back there again. But I like that. This is why I created this masterclass, because I seriously can't wait for you to experience this level of ease in your own life, because this was never meant to be as hard as it's feeling for you. And I'm not saying, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you're never going to have a limiting thought come up again. You absolutely will. And as you manifest and you grow, like as you reach this point of your new normal, as you do all of this work to get to your manifestation, right? And I say all of this work, but it really isn't like hard or anything like that when you know how to deal with your mind and your ego. Once you get to this point and you manifest your new normal, there will be another new like rough that happens here, where you're like starting again from, okay, I'm here now, and now I want to go to another reality. I want to manifest more. I want to call in more, right? There's always going to be a part of you that wants to grow, that wants to evolve, right? That's just naturally how we are as souls here. And as you grow and evolve, as you reach your next levels, you are going to brush up against your limiting beliefs. But what will be different, right, is how you handle them. What will be different is how you feel about them, how you respond to them, right? How you shift them, how you approach them. This is going to be the difference, and this is like where the power comes. So it's not that you never have a limiting belief again. You absolutely will, but you'll just know how to deal with them. So I'm going to have a sip of coffee. 1 second. So before we do dive into it today, I'm just going to let this person in. Randa. Okay. So before we dive into it today, I do want you to embody clean slate energy, right? I want you to just completely forget what you've experienced up until this point. It does not matter, right? I don't want you to sit here and be like, I've been trying to manifest this for years. I've been doing this for years. I've been doing this for months, and I still haven't gotten what I want. None of that means shit. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean your desires aren't meant for you. It doesn't mean you are wrong or bad at intentionally manifesting. It doesn't mean you'll never get there. It literally doesn't mean shit. That's your ego just looking for more excuses. So don't give your ego more excuses to be like, this isn't working for me, right? Your desires have always been meant for you. You are right on time what has been up until this point is completely irrelevant to who you are, the power that you hold as a creator, and what you can call into your life. You are a powerful creator. Your life changes as soon as you decide that it changes and you maintain that energetic certainty. And with this simple mindset shift, you literally call back all of your power and you can create a completely different story for yourself, right? There were times where I literally went months without getting what I wanted, right? Where I'm just like, I'm a fucking manifestation coach. I do this work for a living. What do you mean? Like, it was so tough for me. And I feel like I had the extra weighted pressure because I was like, I teach this. Why am I struggling? Right? And I could have made that mean something. I could have let that mean that I wasn't meant for this. But no, I was like, no, fuck that. I am meant for this. I can do this. I will do this. And then I just continue to dedicate my life to learning this work, getting better and better and better at it. And as a result, my life completely fucking shifted. You're right on time is such a comforting thought. Yeah, I'm so glad. You are right on time. You are right on time. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself and offer just a quick introduction. So my name is Shalay, and I have been actively practicing and implementing manifesting principles and self-development principles, spiritual principles in my life since 2020. I went from being incredibly depressed, working a job I hated, where I was actually experiencing a lot of bullying. I had chronic anxiety. I was experiencing panic attacks every day, and I kept myself in that reality because I just didn't value myself as a human. I love that name. Oh, thank you. I had no sense of self or intuition. I had designed a life I hated for myself. I had my spiritual awakening in 2020, right? After hitting my darkest point in my life, I ended up having my awakening, and that was when I started to find myself again. That was when I started to learn about my soul and who I was. And I knew that that's when I saw, oh my God, I've created a life that is completely unaligned, that I'm unhappy with, that doesn't make me feel good. And as a result, I knew that I had to change, right? I knew that I had to, in order for me to actually be happy and go forward in life, in order for me to actually just, be happy and be a better human and enjoy my life here, I had to create changes, right? So from there, I went on my journey of intentionally manifesting. I knew I wanted a freedom-based lifestyle. I wanted to leave my job. I wanted to do something that I loved for a living. That was so important for me. I wanted to actually get up and be excited about the work that I do and feel passionate about the work that I do. I wanted to make a lot of money doing what I did for a living, or whatever I chose to do it for a living at the time. Because at the time, I had no fucking idea what this was going to look like. I wanted to travel the world, but I had no idea how any of this was going to happen. So I was riddled with fear and doubt and resistance. Once I admitted what I wanted to myself, I was like, holy fucking shit, who do I think I am? How am I going to get there? Like, this just can't happen based on like who I was and where I was and the amount of like self-doubt I had. So no one in my family had ever made a lot of money. I was raised by like a single import mom. Everyone in my life worked jobs they hated and they just accepted it. And I just felt like I was the only one who couldn't play along in the matrix. I felt like I was the only one who just couldn't be satisfied working 9 to 5, living for the weekend, dreading the Monday, longing for the Friday, and daydreaming about that mid-year 2-week holiday. I'm like, it literally makes my skin crawl thinking about it. But no, like, that's just me. That's how I feel towards that lifestyle. And that's just an indication. That's like my intuition communicating to me that that is not for you. You are not meant for that life, right? So the fact that I dislike it so much is because of that. But you might vibe with that, right? And you might have other desires in other areas of your life. And that's completely fine. So you do you, own it. If that's like a lifestyle that you're like, you know what, I love having that there, that's like, it works for you, then that's completely vibey as well, right? So yeah, everyone is here for different reasons. Everyone has different desires, and that's the fun of being on Earth, right? The fact that we all want different things. So 2021 hit, that's when I started to actually take actionable steps. So 2020 was like getting real with myself, doing a lot of self-development, doing a lot of like abundance mindset work, just like gratitude about life and just like working on my relationship with myself. And then 2021 is when I'm like, okay, now it's time to actually create changes in my life. So let me take actionable changes and create a different experience for myself in my life. So this is when I went on the journey of fully trusting, this is when I would like try to trust my intuition, right? So I was like on this up and down roller coaster for a first year where I started to make changes in my life to call in my dream life. And in this, you know, I thought that I was listening to my intuition. I thought that I was doing what I wanted to do. But again, I ended up creating the same patterns that I had my entire life where I was doing what I thought I should be doing. I was copying everybody else. I wasn't anchored into my intuition, right? I had still made changes in the direction of what I wanted, kind of what I wanted, but I still wasn't quite leaning into my intuition fully until, like, you know, once I made all these unaligned decisions that I thought were aligned decisions at the time, until I got to a point where I was like, okay, this isn't working again. I've just reached this standstill and I had to have like a reevaluation with myself. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? So this was 2022 at one point. So this was an entire year, right, where I was like on this energy. Where 2022 hits and I purely leaned into my intuition from here. And I didn't listen to my logical mind. I didn't listen to what everyone else was doing online in this space. I had no idea what I wanted. I wanted to work for myself full time. Sorry, I knew what I wanted. I had no idea how I was going to get there. I wanted to work for myself full time. I wanted to have my dream business. I wanted to travel on my terms. I wanted to make money doing what I loved. I wanted to do all of these things. And at the time I had, like, when I knew I wanted this, I had no business idea set up. I had no business set up. I had no intuitive guidance whatsoever in the realm of the things that I wanted. The only intuitive guidance that was coming in at the start of 2022 was to create a YouTube channel, right? In my head, I was so resistant to this fact. This was guidance I was receiving for an entire year that I was ignoring. Because in my head, I was like, this makes no sense. How is YouTube going to lead to the things that I want? How is YouTube going to lead to the things that I want? And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? So when I got to the point of 2022 and I was like, this is the only guidance I've got. So I've just got to do it. So I started to do it and I did it within 6 months of that point in my life. I actually then manifested my desires. I manifested everything that I just explained, making more money than I've ever made, traveling while working for myself, the dream business, all of the things started to come online, but it just happened in such a weird way, in a way that I couldn't predict. I couldn't tell you how in 6 months I got from having nothing set up to having everything there, right? So that was when I learned the fucking power that it takes to actually be anchored into your intuition. That was when I learned what it means to be doing this work. And that was when I knew exactly what I was here to teach the world and teach other people to do. So yeah, that was everything. I'm like, is that everything I wanted to say there? Yes. So on that journey, so my journey has really been just mastering the energetics of where I am going and really, really being solid in what I'm creating in my life and working through the doubt, the limitations, the self-questioning, the limiting beliefs, all of that, to getting to exactly where I want to go, to getting to the life that I created for myself, to getting to more, to experience more, to call in more, to call in that dream lifestyle that most people don't let themselves entertain because they think it's not possible for them. So since then, I just have a super fucking strong connection to my intuition, and it's always led me to manifesting my desires and something better every single time. And this is what I help other people do as well. So just thought how interesting it is that not a vibe is such a mainstream language now, but the literal meaning of it is vibe frequency of files past most people. We can change the vibes. Yes, I know, right? I know. Okay, I'm gonna have another sip. So that is me. So because this masterclass is an extension into Intuitive Edge, which is the body of work I created after I figured out exactly how to manifest my big dream. So that whole story there about how I figured out how to lean into my intuition and then get whatever, like everything that I've wanted. So I kept seeing so many people in the manifesting and spiritual community for the year of 2022 manifesting their dream lives, thinking like, why the fuck isn't it working for me? And it was because I wasn't listening to my intuition. I wasn't actually listening to my internal guidance system. I was still being led by fear, by lack, by limitation. I was still being led by my ego. So all of this changes as soon as you learn the difference between your intuitive mind and your ego mind. So as a result, when you actually lean into your intuition, when you actually lean into where your intuition is guiding you to go, you will manifest the things that you want, and you will manifest them faster than you've experienced in the past. That's just how it works when you lean into your intuition and you know what voice and what guidance to listen to, and then coupled with knowing how to handle your ego along the way, because that's such an important part. And that's exactly what this program is, right? That's exactly what this program teaches you. Like I said, it was the body of work I created right after I figured out exactly how to do this. So this is the thing I've mentored many clients on now, and I've had clients just create crazy fucking things implementing this work. They have manifested dream careers from themselves, started dream businesses, leave full-time jobs, manifest their desired lifestyle, manifests working from home so that they can focus on their passions, manifesting other streams of income coming in to support them while they're like creating their big dreams, moving to different countries, just literally everything, things that they never thought were going to be possible for them that become possible quickly as soon as they lean into their intuitive guidance system. And because this masterclass is going to be an extension of this program, I wanted to offer those of you who aren't in the program already an exclusive discounted price to enroll into Intuitive Edge. So you get $100 off the total price. So the program is usually valued at $333. You will be able to get it for $222. And this price is valid for 72 hours after the masterclass. So I'll send you a detailed email with all of the instructions and a link to get your hands on it if this is something that you want to go deeper into, if this is something that's calling to you. So this is just exclusive to the Fuck the Doubt Masterclass members. And I also wanted to announce the giveaway winner. So the giveaway winner is Mags, as we can see. So Mags, I'll reach out to you after the class, and yeah, we can discuss when we do this, because there is, we can do it when it works for you. Thanks, Jenny. Intuitive Edge is a great program. Thank you. It is. It's fucking powerful. It is the work that completely changed my life. I watch as it changes other people's lives every single time they do it. Yay! Celebrating you, Mags. Yay, I'm excited. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's dive into it. Let's have a sip of water. Okay. So. Before we discuss how to effectively shift your limiting beliefs, we need to look at why you're in this in the first place. Are you doing this for your manifestations first, or are you doing this for you first? Now you might be thinking, what the fuck is this question, Jules? What do you mean by this? Like, of course I'm doing it for both, but I want you to really think about this. Really think about this, and this is going to require you to be so honest with yourself here. Why are you doing this? Why are you here? Why are you in this work? We won't get anywhere if we beat around the bush, if we try to say the right answer here, right? I want you to really like put your hand on your heart and really think about why you're in this. Because your manifestations should not be your driving force. They should not be the reason why you want to get through your limiting beliefs, your doubt, and your resistance towards where you are going. I want you to really hear that. When you set out to do this limiting belief work with the pure purpose of manifesting specific things into your life, you are a conditional manifester. Great question. It is. It really gets you to think. What a conditional manifester is a person who lives for an outcome of the future. So what happens here is when a conditional manifester doesn't get the outcome, they don't see the outcome that they are seeking, they drop their energy. They fall into doubt, they fall into cycles of resistance, they fall into their limiting beliefs. Their low vibrations get a hold of them. This is not what being a powerful creator looks like. This is not what being a powerful manifestor looks like. Instead, this is a person who will forever be a victim to their circumstances. And I say this with love, but I say this with fire. I say this with passion because I was a conditional manifestor. I know this from personal experience. When you operate from this energy, you will never truly be happy and free. And because I care about you, I want you to clean this energy up quickly. Be aware of this energy now so that you can create a different experience, so that you can be a powerful manifestor right fucking now. I know that you've convinced yourself that your manifestations are going to be the source of the happiness and the freedom that you want to feel. But I would bet my entire business on it. Your manifestations will not bring you the feelings that you are looking for. More money won't make you feel better. The dream business won't make you feel better. The dream lifestyle won't make you feel better. Traveling won't make you feel better. I know you have probably heard this so many times before, but my intention is that you leave this masterclass no longer disregarding this information. I remember I received this advice from those I used to look up to when they were living the version of my dream life that I saw, and they had all of the things that I wanted. They were getting their manifestations. Manifesting seemed so easy for them. And I would literally say to myself, whenever I would hear them say this, I would literally repeat to myself, well, that's easy for you to say in your position. Of course, it's easy for you to say that when you've actually manifested the things, right? But there's power to be learned from this. There's a reason why so many people that manifest what they want say this exact same thing. There's a reason why you hear it all the time. There's a reason why you're hearing it again and again and again. And you can do this the hard way. You can do this the hard way. You can convince yourself that the manifestations are what you want and then get there and then realize they're not what you want. That's what I did in order to learn the lesson. But you can now also call back your power now and choose to be powerful now outside of your circumstances, to feel those things that you want to feel now outside of what's actually happening. I remember when the first time I manifested the thing that I thought was going to be the ultimate thing that's going to bring me the ultimate happiness. That was external freedom. I really wanted freedom. I wanted to not be working for somebody. I wanted to be doing something that I loved. But when I actually did it, when I got there, I didn't feel free. I didn't feel free for the first 6 months of my business, right? I felt trapped. And then I thought, you know what? It's because of my finances. It's my finances. I need to be more like I need to be making money more consistently and making more money. That's why I don't feel free yet. That's why I can't relax. And then I focused on making money. And then as I started to attract more money and more clients, again, I wasn't feeling free. I was like, oh, this doesn't feel worse. Like this, it actually, funnily enough, it actually made me feel worse. Attracting more money made me feel worse because I had so many like underlying limiting beliefs that needed to be addressed because it wasn't about my external situations. It was about how I felt about the world, how I interacted with the world, my relationship to life, my relationship to myself. That is what needed my attention. But for so long, I operated like this and I nearly sabotaged everything I created because I was so fixated on the external change that I was completely ignoring my mental health in the process. My priorities were all messed up at this point. I had my manifestations on a pedestal. So when the manifestations weren't there, I would be in a state of stress, overwhelm, unhappiness. I'd feel empty. I'd feel lost. I'd feel not good enough. I'd feel unworthy. I'd feel depressed. I'd feel burnt out. And it just led to this feeling of just feeling so fucking trapped in these thoughts, these thought cycles. I just couldn't break out of it. Well, it felt like I couldn't break out of it. And it was a really fucked up place to live from. I'm not gonna lie. It was really fucked up. And it wasn't why I fell in love with spirituality and self-development. It's not why I stepped into this world. I stepped into this world. I wanted to practice manifesting. I wanted to go on this journey of creating my dream life because I fucking loved myself first. That was where it started from. I wanted to make me happy first. The manifestations were always a fun byproduct. They weren't my why. And then somewhere along the way, I lost that. And then I made the manifestations more important than me. So think about why you started this. So many people are drawn to this work because they wanted to heal themselves first. They went into the realm of self-development and personal development to feel better emotionally, to feel better mentally, to have a better relationship with themselves. They wanted to feel better about life. They wanted to be happier. They wanted to live in gratitude. They wanted to feel pleasure. They wanted to have fun. Yes, your manifestations are going to be a byproduct. You don't even have to question it. That's not even a question that should it's not like, oh, my desires are meant for me. None of that. Like, let's just focus on why are we here? Why are we doing this work? Why do we want to heal our doubt and resistance and limiting beliefs? Right? So go back to why you're here. Where did you lose the intention of healing yourself along the way? When did you make your manifestations more important than you? Okay, I'm just going to have a look at some comments. I've been starting to get this thanks to you, thanks to what you've been teaching. Oh, yay! I'm so glad. I'm being called out, and I know this because I feel like a victim of my own bullshit, and I'm mad about it. Lol, I'm over it. Yeah, I totally get that. Yes, you're right. Legit, love it. Heal thyself, absolutely. But that even manifesting, right? Coming to this work when we were depressed, mentally down, and then changed our lives and started to overcome mental health. Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a big picture for me. It's the entire package, so to speak. I've been learning so much. I'm so glad. This is a really important piece, and we really need to start here. Why do you do this? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Okay. So now that you remember why you're here in the first place and you do this for you first, this is when you truly become powerful and free, because you are no longer going to be swayed or affected by your physical reality and what you don't see yet, because that's not what this is about. Your manifestations are already set in stone. They are already assured. They are in motion. This is what I teach you in Intuitive Edge. You have an energetic connection to your desires because your intuition put them there to attract you intentionally. You don't have to question. You don't have to question. You don't have to be like, oh, are they for me? Can I do it? Will they be for me? None of that is even relevant. Stop beating yourself up every time you don't see your manifestations yet, because it means nothing. Stop shaming and blaming yourself every time you have a limiting thought or a limiting belief come up, right? We're not doing that anymore, because this is another thing that really, really fucks with people, right? When they're on this journey of manifesting their life and trying to move past doubt, resistance, limiting beliefs, right? They get super, super mean to themselves or like down on themselves because they feel like they should know better, right? They're like, what the fuck? Like, I know better. I know not to be having these thoughts and feelings and beliefs. And they give the thoughts, the beliefs, the resistance that come up like so much weight, so much power, so much energy, right? But when and this energy comes because you put your manifestations on a pedestal, right? But when you do it from the energy of, I care about myself, I care about how I feel, when the doubts, when the resistance, when the limiting belief comes up, it doesn't feel like a energy of like, fuck you, I'm going to use me as an example. Fuck you, Shirley, you suck. Like, you're ruining this for us. You're ruining our life. You're ruining the things that we can attract. It's not that energy. It's the energy of like, oh, I care about myself. I love myself. And this thought doesn't feel good right now. So because I care about myself, because I care about my limiting beliefs, I'm going to do the work to fix it. I'm not going to leave it there, but I'm not going to shame and blame myself, make myself wrong for having these feelings. But I'm going to fix it. I'm going to shift it, because I care about myself and I love myself. Can you feel the difference? Does that make sense? It's a big, definitely changing my self-talk. Amazing. Absolutely. I'm happy. Good, good, good. Making sense to everyone. Yes. Good. I'm like alternating between my coffee and my water. It's called balance. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm assuming everyone is good. If you're not good, if it doesn't make sense, if you're confused, let me know. We want this all to be landing. We want this all to be making sense. Okay. So, at this point again, you might be thinking, Shirley, what the fuck? You just showed me the graph where you showed me what happens when I'm in low vibrational beliefs, where like in the manifesting process, and how this is affecting my reality and what I attract. I'm so confused. So if you are feeling that way, yes, I did show you that graph, and yes, that does happen. However, those low vibrational energies actually become more powerful when you resist feeling them. Okay? So when you make yourself wrong or bad for feeling a certain way, when you get angry at yourself for having the limiting belief, the doubt, and the resistance, that is what gives it more power. And when you give that more power, right, even though it's like angry power and you're like, why do I feel this way? And you're getting frustrated with yourself, doesn't mean anything. You're actually just feeding it energy, and you're actually feeding it really powerful energy because you're just like so activated by it, right? And because you're feeding that reality energy, and that's what you're going to end up attracting into your reality, more and more and more and more of the same, more and more and more of that. So instead of going into the energy of self-blame, annoyance, or anger every time you fall into doubt, resistance, or limiting beliefs and you don't see evidence of what you want, I want you to practice being the energy of curiosity and care instead, which is what I just mentioned, right? I want you to hold yourself with love. And this is easy now because we've shifted our priorities. We no longer have the pressure of our manifestations on our shoulders. Your manifestations are already meant for you. Your desires are already meant for you. That's just how this works, right? You didn't just fuck everything up for having one bad thought, one bad limiting belief, the doubt that came up, the resistance come up. That's not how this works, and I'm going to explain that in a sec. Instead, you care about how you feel, and as you notice the feelings you are having that don't make you feel good, you hold yourself with love and understanding, and you lovingly do the limiting belief work that I'm going to be showing you in a moment, from the energy of I care about me first. I care about how I feel. I care about how I interact with this world. I care about my relationship with myself. I care about me. That's why I'm doing this, and that's why I want to go into this work. So a way to start embodying this energy, so a way to like keep this in mind the next time your doubt, your limiting beliefs, your resistance comes up, is to actually have pretend like you're talking to your best friend, or you're in a child, right? Maybe it's your child, maybe it's a child that you're like connected to, but picture them having this thought. How would you handle them in this situation? You would hold them with love. You would hold them with understanding. You would hold them in compassion. You would want to be there with them. You would want to offer your comfort. You wouldn't sit there and be like, ah, oh, you fucking idiot, you suck, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I swear a lot because Australian. But you wouldn't be sitting there doing that, right? Instead, you would sit there and you would offer them love, offer them understanding, offer them compassion, and then you also care about them. So you don't want them to sit in this shitty energy. So you go, how about you see this empowering perspective instead? You will offer them comforting thoughts, comforting perspectives, right? You would want to shift them out of that energy because you care about them. So that's the same feeling that we are going to embody when the doubt and the limiting beliefs and the resistance comes up. Okay? Okay, another sip of water. I know I'm doing it because I just know I can live my life on a different level. Yeah, you can. You absolutely can. And you'll get there with so much more ease when you just like lighten up with the work, right? When you stop making every little like thought and feeling you have like the be all and the end all. When you just get a little bit more like lighter with it, when you're just like, okay, like I don't need to worry about my manifestations. I don't need to worry about whether or not this is going to be for me or not. Like it is going to be for me. Of course it's for me. Why is that even a question? It's like, yes, this is for me. This is what I'm doing. This is like my birthright. I don't have to stress about that. Right? So it's like, I don't have to stress about that. I get what I want because I get what I want. And all my job is to focus on how I'm feeling. Yes, love it. Okay. So now let's get into exactly what to do when doubt, resistance, and a limiting belief comes up. The first thing you always want to do every single time these feelings arise is acknowledge and feel them. I don't want you to push them down, right? I don't want you to be afraid of them. Every single time doubt, resistance, limiting beliefs come up, feel them. They will not manifest into your experience if you allow yourself to feel them. That's because when you feel emotions, you are releasing emotions. That's how you move past them, right? What most people do though is when they get the doubt, when they get the limiting belief, when they get the resistance coming up, they freak out energetically. They think, I don't want to manifest this into my reality, and they resist feeling it. They push it back down into their field, into their energy field. And then they wonder why it keeps coming up to be addressed, why it keeps coming up to be felt, why it keeps coming up into your experience. It's right. It's because you didn't actually release the feeling first of all, and you didn't actually address the feeling, right? You didn't do anything. You just pushed it back down and then tried to distract yourself and pretend like it wasn't there, right? And you might be able to actually shift your focus. You might be able to be like, okay, yep, I'm going to focus on something else now. And then you do. And then what, like a day later or a couple of hours later, the belief is coming back up, the limiting thought is coming back up, the feeling is coming back up, and then you're just like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this, I shouldn't be feeling this, and then you push it back down, you push it back down, you push it back down, right? That's not how we actually, that process is just constantly going to be that, and then you're going to go back to that graph where you're up and down, 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 right? So I want you to now remember going forward is that you need to feel, I want you to, was that English? I want you to remember going forward that you need to feel every single belief that is coming up, every single feeling that is coming up. You need to feel it. Allow it to come up. Acknowledge that it's there. Witness that it's there. Because even after I teach you the work in today's class, these old feelings, they will continue to come up because it's patterned behavior. And that's why I'm saying it's normal for the limiting beliefs and the doubt to come up. When you get to that graph that I was talking about at the start, where you're going up and down, up and down, up and down, that's when you're resisting feeling it. That's when you're making yourself wrong for feeling that way, right? So if we clean up that energy and we're like, okay, no, I'm going to love myself. I'm not putting myself down. I care about how I feel. I'm going to hold myself in this. Okay, why am I feeling this? Like, and you allow the feeling to actually just come up and you witness the feeling and you feel the feeling. That is not going to create that patterned behavior that you saw at the start in that graph where you're up and down, up and down, up and down. It is not fucking up your manifestations to feel these thoughts. We are souls that came here to feel everything, which means you will feel everything. So every single time you have a low feeling come up and you sit there and make yourself wrong for it and you make it mean that you're not getting your manifestations, that's exactly the reality that you create. It will not bring you your manifestations. Okay? So you need to acknowledge them. You need to feel them. There's a part of you that's doubting. If there's a part of you that's doubting the manifestation process, fucking feel it. Feel it. If there's a part of you that's angry at the manifesting process, whatever it is, feel it. If there's a part of you that's scared, feel it. A lot of the time, people have been in this work for a while, right? They've done their limiting belief work. They've done this healing work. They've been in this space and they're just like, oh my God, why the fuck are these feelings like continuing to come up? And it's because they're not doing this process. It's literally this process. They're not allowing themselves to feel it. Yeah, they've done the work to go deep. Yeah, they've done the work to figure out why they have the beliefs there, but they're just not doing this. They're just not allowing themselves to feel it. Instead, they have all these stories about what it means if they feel this level of like doubt and resistance, right? Feel it, because I promise you, once you feel it, it will release. It's actually wild when the feeling comes up, now that you know this and you're going to practice this in your own life, when the low vibrations come up. I literally had the low vibe come up this morning as I was like coming up to do this. I had this like moment of like scarcity and I was like, oh, and then I like sat with myself and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be scared for a sec. I'm going to just let myself feel that. And then it like passed within like 20 seconds. And that's what I mean when I say this work. That's what I mean. That's the type of ease you have available to you, right? If I had resisted feeling scared, I would have been like, it would have just continued to come up because it was the feeling that was just trying to pass through. So let yourself feel it. This process can take you like 5 to 10 minutes it depends on what it is, right? The deeper it is, the more intense it is, the more you've been ignoring it, the longer it'll take like for you to release it. I know sometimes I've sat in like a 40-minute meditation and the entire time I'm feeling like I'm releasing my doubt, the fear, the resistance that I'm feeling. Other times it's what I described. It's like a 20-second thing or like a 5-minute thing or a 10-minute thing, right? So where I'm just like, I always put my hand on my heart when I do this because I like have to remind myself that if like I'm safe to feel these emotions, I'm safe to release this fear, I am safe to release this doubt. I'm not going to be manifesting it to my experience. I was like, this is what's not going to manifest it. The fact that I'm allowing myself to feel it. So I really take an intentional moment. I do not ignore the feelings when they come up, right? There's going to be a part of you that's going to be like, oh, I don't want to go back there. But don't let yourself do that, right? Just be like, okay, it's coming up. Let me just feel it. Because it will take 2 seconds, it'll pass through, and then it feels like when you do this, you just like clear your energetic field and there's more room for the energies that you do want to feel instead. There's more room. Like I find that whenever I have a process of release like this, where I just do a quick little like 5-minute, okay, yeah, I've released. When I then direct my energy to what I do want instead, it's so amplified. The feelings of what I want is like just so, yeah, it's like on steroids. That's the best way to describe it, which I'm going to get into in a second. So when you resist these things, this is when the things can come up. Like they go on all day. They keep coming up month after month or day after day or week after week. And it just feels like you're constantly in this cycle and this patterned behavior and you can't get out of it. It's because you're resisting just like doing this simple step. Sometimes for some people. Okay, I'm going to read the comments. Okay, very helpful. Def tried to push them down and ignore them due to fear of them taking over. Yeah. And they won't take over. They don't like, this is why I find this so powerful, because it actually makes you a powerful person in that you know that nothing can fuck with you. Nothing has the power. No emotion has power over you. You learn that you are the power. You learn that you like, and it's like as you allow yourself to feel these low vibrational emotions and you don't resist them, you just feel like, holy shit, I can take on anything. That's what it feels like. So yeah. Oh my God, we came here to feel everything. We came here for the human experience. Why do I keep forgetting that? Yeah. Don't worry. I love this teaching, Sheila. I'm so glad. No, don't worry. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. That was me as well. That was me as well. I'm going to have a sip of water. Okay. So after that important step of feeling and releasing, we're acknowledging our emotions. We're letting them go. We're not making them mean anything. We're not giving them power by resisting them, pushing them down, making them mean something. We're like, no, we're just going to feel it. After you've released the emotion, so you will actually, it'll feel like a release, right? It'll feel like a, oh, that feels good, right? It'll feel like, oh, okay, I feel good. So once you have that moment of release, you want to intentionally feel into what you do want in that moment instead. This is so important to do. So if you have a moment where you doubt whether or not you will ever like manifest your thriving dream business, right? And you take a moment, what you would do is you take a moment, you let yourself feel the doubt. You'd be like, okay, I'm going to let myself feel all of this doubt right now. And then once the emotion dissipates, once you have that release, that's when you've properly felt it, you'll feel it. Then you coach yourself on opening up to see what you do want to believe instead, right? So this scenario could look like visualizing what you do want, saying affirmations of what you do want, really invoking the feeling behind like working with dream clients, making the money that you want to be making in your business, whatever brings you into a desired state in the time, whatever is the opposite of what you just felt, you feel, right? So this is really important, right? Because if you don't direct the energy to what you want, then you aren't directing the universe on what you want to experience, right? Instead, you're staying in the energy of what you don't want. And you've like, yes, you've released the emotion, but then it's like, what now type of energy, right? And you can either go back into old patterns of thinking, old patterns of thought, or you can direct your energy to what you want. And the more you direct your energy to thinking what you want, to feeling what you want, it becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a part of what you expect. And then it becomes a part of what you naturally experience. And that's just how easy it really gets to be. So this isn't something I want to spend too much time on because there is an entire module inside Intuitive Edge about doing this work and like energetically interacting with desires. So I'm not going to spend too much time there, but I just basically want you to know that this is just like a mini moment of I'm going to go into the direction of where I'm going. Because the thing is, like, the ego can also trap us into the healing cycle where, and this is something, again, I talk about in Intuitive Edge. There's an entire module on it because it can be something that really like traps a lot of people. And this is because the ego tries to keep you in states of not growing. It tries to keep you exactly where you are, not growing, not getting what you want, not experiencing the change in your reality because it feels safe there, right? So when you know that the ego does this out of like being scared, you can just be like, okay, I'm aware of this energy. However, I am not going to stay in this energy because this isn't what I want. I'm not going to stay in not having my manifestations because this isn't what I want. I'm going to direct my energy to what I do want to feel, to what I do want to have, to how I want life to actually go for me, right? And then you focus on the feeling behind what you want. And then when you do this, you'll notice when you've done this process properly and you've actually felt and released, you'll actually notice that it's really easy for you to hold on to the energy of what you want, to hold on to your desires, right? It's so easy for you to be grateful for where you are now, to live in a desired state. It feels like you have like freed yourself from this, like, it just feels like you freed yourself from the energy of what you don't want, and then it just feels like so freeing to move into the direction that you do want. And it feels good, it feels empowering, it just feels good to do it. So that's how, and I keep saying that because that's how it should feel when you direct the energy, because I used to think I was doing this process but I wasn't, because I was still resisting how like feeling the bad emotions, because I had my manifestations on a pedestal that I wasn't even focusing on how I felt on the inside. I was just like, no, I need to think this in order to get what I want, right? So because I was doing that, whenever I would redirect my attention to what I wanted, it was like coupled with a lot of anxiety, a lot of like unease. It didn't feel good to direct my energy to the energy that I did want to call into my life instead, right? There was still this like internal conflict going on. So don't be lazy on this step. Be very intentional with directing your energy to what you do want to create in your life every single day. Yay, I'm so excited for this info. Yay, I'm glad. I actually think, give me 1 second. I think my partner needs the keys to leave, and I think I have them in here from this morning's coffee. So let me just go take this to him. I think he's right outside. Sorry. Oh no, that was my bad. Okay, poor thing. I could hear him like hovering outside of my door, just being like, and he was trying to call me, so it got me a little bit distracted there. Okay, my bad. Okay, so is this making sense before we go on? Amazing. So much sense. I am obsessed. Yay, I'm glad this is landing. Yes, good. Okay, so loving it. Good. So let's say that now we're going to go deeper, right? So let's say that we've done this process, we've felt, we've acknowledged, we've tried to direct the energy to where we want to go instead, right? And if the following keeps happening from here, this is when we go even deeper. This is when the deeper work is required, and we need to really start doing like a deeper level of ego work and limiting belief work and shifting work. So let's get into it. So hold on, I've just lost my spot. Okay, yeah. So this is when you know that we need to go deeper. So if you've done this process and you feel like you were still spending a lot of your energy in lack, limitation, and doubt compared to the energy of what you desire, of power, of certainty, of gratitude, then this is when we go deeper. If the low vibrational feelings continue to pull on your energy, if they continue to lower your vibe, if you can't seem to believe and get on board with what you were creating and where you were going and believing and trusting in that process, right? That's when you would sit there and you would realize, okay, there's like deeper work that I need to do here. There's something I'm not seeing. If you like tend to stay in low vibrational frequencies of your doubts, your desire, your limitations, and your resistance and fear and things like that for weeks to days to even months on end, trying to work through it but never really getting anywhere, then we need to go deeper. And also, now I'm a little bit like hesitant in saying this because it's not always like this. So sometimes even the fact that you keep manifesting old patterns into your reality is an indication that you haven't gone deep enough in the work yet. But I will say that this isn't always the case, because there will be a stage in the in-between stage that I showed you earlier where you will be brushing up against your past reality as you hold your desired intentions of where you were going. As you hold the energy of where you're going, you will brush up against your past. And as you brush up against your past, you will, like, that's just normal, right? It's normal. It's not an indication that you're doing anything wrong, which I'll explain later. But sometimes it can be an indication that you have to go deep enough and there's something you're not seeing, there's something that you're not looking at, and you're just going to have to like use your discernment for this, because this isn't like a black and white statement. It's just something that you have to like, it's going to be different with every situation. So trust yourself. You're going to know exactly when to be able to be like, okay, there's something I'm not seeing here, I need to go deeper, or no, this is just me in the in-between stages where I'm brushing up against my reality, my old reality. Okay, so this is when we go deeper. So Now that you've noticed that you need to do some deeper work, that's amazing, that's fine. We care about our mental well-being. We are excited to do this work because we want to liberate our minds, we want to liberate our hearts so that we can actually live a quality life. And a fun byproduct is manifest everything that we've ever wanted in the process, right? That's just going to be a natural, yay, we also get to have that, but it's not the reason why. So as we recognize that we're doing this work, that we need to go deeper in this work, we're like, okay, there are two processes that I want you to draw off here, right? So the first process is evidence building exercises, or the second process is why work. So let's look at evidence building exercises first. So you do this work, when you do this work, right, and you find that you have like limiting beliefs coming up, and you find that, you know, there's some, I want to say discrepancies, but I can't say that word, discrepancies in your reality, right? Where you sit there and you say, okay, I want this, but I believe this, right? So I want to have a thriving business, but I don't believe that, but I believe that businesses easily fail. That would be a limiting belief. That would be something that would require you to do belief work, right? To do the evidence building exercises. So let's say that you want a thriving business, but you believe, sorry, I just said that. Let's say that you want to have like overflow in your bank account. You never want to have to worry about like affording something again. You just want to know that you always have money there, that it's something that you don't have to think about. It's just, you don't even look at the price tag of things. It's just like whatever you want, you get, right? And then you have a belief that comes up and that says, well, that's not realistic. That's wishful thinking. That's not how money works. If that was the case, then everyone would be doing it, right? So when that internal dialogue is going on, and that's why your energy, like just feeling that way and letting that feeling release isn't working, and you have these like internal narratives going on, then that's when that's when we need to go deeper into doing the evidence building exercises, because from here there is no point telling your ego that you don't believe what you believe. That's so silly. The mind can't argue against that. You can't lie to your mind. And often what you believe, you have evidence to believe it. Usually it's what you've experienced, it's what you've seen, it's how you've seen life work for people. That's what you experience a lot of. So of course you can't sit there and be like, let me just shift my belief. So the thing with this is you really need to be working with your mind in a way that it can actually get on board with, right? It's not as simple as being like, well, mind, that's not true, and let me believe what I want instead, because your ego is going to be like, it is true, and I can prove it to you with this belief, with this belief, with this memory, with this memory, with this memory, right? So it's not going to work. And this is why we do the evidence building exercises, so that we can bring yourself fully on board with this, right? So the way that we do this is actually super simple, and I want to actually give you an example of this work in the, like, I want to show you like how I would actually do this work. So when we do this, we're just opening our minds to seeing a different perspective. So let's say that I'm gonna give you an example of literally what I would do in my own process. So let's go evidence building, yeah, X. Okay. Usually I'm going really fast, so there's going to be all of these like spelling mistakes. So just bear with me. But let's say I'm going to use a belief that there was one that I really had to work through. I'm feeling like the market was saturated. So this is in regards to like my business beliefs. I've done this with everything. I've done this with money. I've done this with literally attracting clients, believing, like traveling, like literally everything I've done this with, right? I've built the evidence of what I want to see instead of what I want to believe instead about the world. So let's say like the market is saturated. Do you see what I wrote there? I said the market was saturated because I've shifted that belief. It's just not something I think about anymore. Could you please zoom in a little bit? Yeah, sure. Is that good? Let me know if that's good. Yeah, thank you. Amazing. Okay. So let's say I'm dealing with this belief, right? I'm like, okay, the market is saturated. So what I would do from here, and I would just type this out in the morning. This is like literally what I would do. I'd be like, okay, where are the some, like, what am I not believing? What am I not getting on board with? Like, whatever it is. And I'm noticing a limiting belief come up. I'm like, okay, I have this belief that the market is saturated by doing this work, realizing that I have these limiting beliefs. So I'm not going to resist it. I'm going to shift it because I want to feel better about my business, about what I do, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, market is saturated. And then I'd sit here and I'd be like, okay, is this actually the truth? Do I genuinely feel this way? So for me, this looked like, this is what I would literally write out. I'd be like, okay, is this actually true though? Then my mind might be like, yes, you see the online space. Everyone wants to do this. And then I'd be like, okay, is that actually the total truth though? Right? And then I think about it. And then if my mind feels like, yes, it feels like the total truth. So do you see how I'm like literally talking to myself? Wow, what the hell? I used to do this with my limiting beliefs on people leaving. Yeah, it's such a powerful method, right? Because you're just like coaching yourself, right? So it's just like, okay, do I actually believe this to be the total? But if my mind actually feels like it's the total truth, I would sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to get real with myself, right? I'm going to be like, okay, I really just express how my mind is feeling. So if my mind goes, yes, it's the total truth, I'll be like, well, there was a time in your life where you had no idea this community existed, and you had no idea this community existed, and your social media homepage looked so different. So is the market saturated, or is this the law of attraction at play? Right? Because it's like now now I'm really focused on doing this, like I'm really focused on this work. So I'm just like, am I just attracting this into my experience? Like obviously my whole social, like my homepage has changed. So is it true that the market is actually really saturated, or is it just that this is where my focus is now and that's what I'm attracting into my reality? And then my mind might be like, yes, but it feels like everyone on the internet is saying the same thing. So that's why it feels saturated, right? So then I'd sit there and start working on that belief. And I'd be like, okay, well, I'd sit there, yeah. And then I'd sit there and work on that belief, and I'd find ways to actually see a different perspective. So eventually this thought process led me to exploring feelings like, it feels like I can't attract what I want. It feels like I can't attract the clients and followers that I want, right? And it feels like so with this one particularly, it was like, it was coming from a lack mentality, right? So eventually it got me to a belief thing that was like, it feels like there's not enough to go around. It feels like there's not enough to go around for everyone, because it feels like everyone's in this doing this. So how will I be able to attract clients? So how will I be able to do this? So I had to sit there and be like, well, we need to get like clear here, because not everyone is doing this work. Not everyone wants to do this work. So I could think of so many people in my life right now that could think of nothing worse but to be an entrepreneur online and do the work how I'm doing it, right? So it's so powerful to like break down this belief and to sit there and be like, okay. And it even got to a point where I was like sitting there going, okay, well, it still feels like yes, I know that you're saying all of these things, you're giving all of these facts to me, Shule, but it still makes me feel like it's hard to attract clients and followers. And then I'd sit there and be like, well, that's where your focus has been. So I'd be like, okay, well, Shule, that's where your focus has been. That's what you've been focusing on. So doesn't it make sense that that's what you're experiencing in your reality if you believe the manifesting process? And then I'd be like, well, yeah, that is actually true. So then I'd be like, okay, well, if you want to attract more clients and more followers into your reality and not feel like the market is saturated, wouldn't you have to put your attention there? And then my mind will be like, well, yeah, that's true. And then it's like, okay, so let's do that instead and let's see what happens, right? Let's just see what happens from a curious energy. Doesn't it feel better to feel that instead? And it's like, yes. And I can use the manifesting process as evidence because I have so many tools under my belt where I believe the manifesting process now because I've experienced it. So it's actually like I no longer feel like manifesting is a cult, right? So because I've practiced it in my own life. I've gotten results in my own life. I've looked into this work in my own life, right? So for me, there was a time where I couldn't say, well, isn't this just the manifesting process at play here? Doesn't it make sense that you're experiencing this in your reality if your focus is there? Usually, like, that didn't make sense for me because I was like, no, I don't believe the manifesting process. There was a part of me that still doubted it. So I had to really play around with believing the manifestation process first, right? I had to, like, another form of evidence building would be to look into, like, surround myself with people who have done what I want in the way that I want to do it, right? I surrounded myself with people who believed this work, right? I surrounded myself with people who taught this work, who would sit there and tell me their their successful manifesting stories. I made myself believe it because there was a time where I didn't believe it. There was a time where I was like, well, I don't actually believe this right now. So it's so important that you meet yourself where you're at. If there's a part of you that doubts the manifesting process, get clear on getting evidence. Get clear on getting evidence that what you want is actually possible, right? Put yourself in the communities, buy the programs, buy the mentors, like, get yourself. That's what I had to do to really get myself on board. I had to, like, surround myself with people who were doing what I wanted to do. I had to put myself in communities with people who were doing what I wanted to do because people in my actual life, like, they just weren't doing this, right? It was hard. It was hard for me to stay consistent with where I was going and to see this work and to see the merit behind this work when everyone in my life was telling me that I was a Looney Tune. So it was hard to be like, okay, like, you know what I mean? But thank God for the internet. Thank God we have the internet because we can access evidence so quickly. And then you can also do this, like, with other things as well. Like, I did this with followers, right? I really believed that my followers were hindering my success. I thought my followers were the reason why I was struggling to attract money, clients, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, like, that wasn't the actual case. My followers weren't the reason why I was struggling to attract, like, money, clients, and all of the things. That wasn't the issue here. It was my belief that my followers, like, it was my belief that low followings mean that you aren't successful. So I had to sit there and I had to reprogram it. And sometimes it wasn't like I got the evidence straight away, right? It wasn't that, like, the evidence came to me straight away. And sometimes I had to ask the universe, where I was like, universe, show me how this belief isn't the entire truth. So then once, like, and then the universe would bring me situations of people who had, like, 2K, 4K followings or whatever, who were making, like, shit tons of money, 20K days, 40K days. And I just take screenshots of these people and their following, and then I'd remind myself that is not the total truth. So whenever the feeling would come up where I'd be like, oh, my followers are restricting my business growth, I'd sit there, I'd feel that feeling, I'd release it, and then I would remind myself. So this is how I would do the work in that moment. I'd remind myself, put my hand on my heart, can you say that this is the total truth? And it's like, well, no, it's not the total truth, because there is these people who have 2K followings, 3K followings, 4K followings, who are making fuck tons of money. So can you say that your followers are affecting your business growth? And it's like, no, I can't completely say that. That's not the total truth, because I see that it's not the total truth. Even when I was trying to get on board with the manifesting process, right? It was like, a part of me was like, it just feels like it's not real, because then why wouldn't everyone be doing this, right? Why is not everyone doing this? Why wouldn't everyone want this sort of ease in their life? And I'll be like, okay, I realize you feel that way. I'd let myself feel that way. And then I'd be able to draw on the evidence building exercises I've done in the past. I'll be like, well, there are so many people that have so much success with it. So like, can I say that it's the total truth that this doesn't work? And it's like, well, no, because there are these people that have had success with it. And then I started to have my own little experiences as well. Like, I know at the start I would manifest really random things that I had no resistance to, like avocados or fruits. I did a lot with like fruits and veg, but just really specific random things. And then I was able to draw off those experiences as well in those moments where I was doubting, where I'd be like, so can, like, you've actually seen success. So can't you see that this is also a possibility? And my mind's, well, yeah, I can see that it's also a possibility. So then your mind actually feels safe to be like, okay, I don't feel like a Looney Tune just letting myself go to all of this like work. I don't feel like I'm lying to myself. That's the important piece, right? We're coming down to the feeling. Do you feel like you're lying to yourself? If you feel like you're lying to yourself, do the work to change it. Do the work to change it, do the work to shift it. Do what you got to do. Download the podcast, listen to the books, hire the mentors, do the programs, put yourself in the memberships, put yourself in the community, do what you can to see a different perspective until it just will naturally click and you don't think that way anymore. You don't question it anymore. I remember the day like my whole body was on board with the manifesting process. It was such a sexy feeling. I was like, oh my God, like there's just all of me believed it. And it was such a liberating feeling. And as a result, I started to manifest things with so much ease because I wasn't doubting the process. It was just like so like consistent. It was becoming so fucking consistent. And I was like, oh my God, this is how easy it gets to be. When I look back to when I first started my business, I thought, now what? How do I get started? Here I am 11 years later. It's great to remind yourself of what we've already accomplished. Absolutely. Drawing back off your old experience as well. It's so funny. I love that you mentioned that, Jen, because it's like so funny that how quickly we are to disregard our past experiences, our past evidence that we actually have in our reality. So that's also what you can use in your evidence building exercises as well. I love this all so much. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. How is this all feeling? Does that make sense in terms of how to shift a belief using evidence? I'm gonna have a sip. Because I know for me, it didn't work to just blindly believe things without evidence. And I really let the universe like show me. I let the universe show me exactly, like if I needed help, I'd be like, show me, prove it to me, universe. And all of those little things as well helped build my evidence with the energetic realm. Help me to see this stuff. Yes, I wrote in my notes, I'm going to begin this. Yeah, it's so powerful. How is everyone else feeling? Are we feeling like we're getting it? Is it making sense? Amazing, amazing. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good, good. Okay. Amazing. Let's move on now. So that's the evidence building exercises. Now, sometimes you do the evidence building practices, but they don't seem to help, right? It's like it helps to an extent, but there's still a part of you that's being pulled down energetically. There's still a part of you that believes a different thing. There's still a part of you that's not fully on board with that reality, with what you're like, with the evidence that you're offering, right? So that's when you go even deeper. That's when you go to do the why work. So when the evidence building isn't quite like hitting the spot, that's when we do why work. So let's say that we're working through that limiting belief, right, that we just did, where it was like the market is saturated right now to be like to online. And we go into, so yeah, then we want to like prove this otherwise to ourselves, right? So we do the limiting belief work around the market being saturated, and then there's a part of us that we notice that just isn't quite getting on board, doesn't quite see the alternative perspective, doesn't quite believe in what you're offering. And then you notice that there's like a niggly feeling in the back of your mind that will be like, well, that just won't happen to me, or that won't be my story, or that just isn't true, right? There's something, a part of you that's just not getting on board. So that's when we actually go into do the work, the why work, where we want to get to the inner child. We want to get to see deeper. Like, why is there a part of us that doesn't actually believe that this is possible, right? Why is there a part of us that believes that this actually isn't possible still? Why is there a part of us that actually isn't getting on board with this, right? So this is when we need to go beyond our rational mind, our rational way of thinking, and we need to access the child within us. We need to go deeper, right? Because this is beyond the logical mind. This is no longer a logical thought or feeling that you're having. This is illogical, and which is usually like what it feels like when you're working with the inner child, right? So this is one of the most like powerful pieces of work that you can actually do. And it is, yeah, it often is going to like really change the game, because a lot of people get stuck with like the evidence building work, right? They're working with those thoughts and they're like, I'm doing the evidence shifting work, I'm doing this, I'm seeing a different perspective, but why do I still feel this way? Why do I still feel like these things are triggering me? Why are they still affecting me? And it's because we need to go deeper into the why work. So I am going to show you what I would do if it was the why work. So again, with this, I would definitely do it by typing. I wouldn't be doing it on, you don't want to be doing it on, you don't want to journal or anything like that, because you won't be able to go as fast as your mind is going. When you type, you will be able to go as fast as your mind is going, and you will be able to get really deep, which is what we want to do with this process. Because with the why work, these are things that are very subconscious, things that subconscious means you aren't aware because they're so deep, right? So they're so deep, they're so in our yeah, they're just so deep, right? So they're so deep, you don't see them, and your adult mind can't seem to like rationalize. Like it goes beyond your adult mind, it goes beyond rational thinking, right? This isn't coming from a rational place, and this is how we access the inner child. So a lot of people don't let themselves get deeper beyond the why work, beyond the evidence building work, because they think that their adult mind doesn't understand how that feeling is still there, because they think that shouldn't be there. They think that their adult mind, like, it makes no sense that it's there. So the best way I'm going to communicate what I mean with this is like really just show you an example. So I'm going to show you the example of something I felt with my best friend. So this is like the process of what I would do with the why work. So for a long time, whenever my best friend would get a manifestation, I would feel really, really fucking triggered, right? I would feel like really triggered. Something within me started to feel like funky, right? So then I'd write down, and I resisted this feeling for so long because I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, Shalay, you're a woman. Like, you help women manifest their desires, manifest their dream life, and you sit here and you're gonna like you're gonna sit there and feel this way towards your best friend manifesting her dream life. I'm like, how disgusting is that? Like, I thought that energy was so gross. I was so down on myself for feeling that way, and I didn't let myself feel it. I resisted it until a point where I was like, I don't want this in my friendship anymore, and I need to figure out why the fuck this is here. So I sat there and I was like, all right, we need to do the why work. So I sat with myself and I was like, okay, I'm triggered. So I like expressed the feeling. So I'm like, I'm triggered when Nadia gets her manifestations. She was here before and she just left. So I was going to be like, Nadia, sorry, putting you on the spot. So I'd be like, okay, I'm triggered when Nadia gets her manifestations. And I'd be like, why? And then my mind might be like, I don't know. And then I'd be like, that's not a good enough answer. Why are you triggered? And then I could be like, this is literally what I'll do. Like, I'll seriously sit there and be like, I don't know. And I'd sit there and just like continue to do that. And I'll be like, not a good enough answer. Go deeper. Why are you feeling this way? And then eventually, like, my mind will just have to start expressing, right? So once I get to the point where my mind starts to just express, I'll just be like, because I don't know, maybe I'm jealous. And I'd be like, but that doesn't make sense. So I'm like talking to the feeling, right? So I'm like, but that doesn't make sense because you help other women do this and you don't get jealous with them or your other friends. It's just with Nadia. Why? right? So I'd be like, I don't fucking know. Like, right? I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I think that there's not enough to go around. Be like, still doesn't really make sense, surely. Right, so I'll do this process until I go deeper and deeper and deeper. I'm not gonna lie, this particular one really fucked with me because I was so ashamed of feeling this way. So it took me like at least like a couple of months to actually get to the root, and every single time she got a manifestation, the feeling would come up and I'd sit here and I'd do this exact process. I'd write down this exact thing again and again and again. Oh my God, all the spelling mistakes is so funny. I'd sit there and write this out again and again and again and again until I got to the root of what it was. And sometimes that's what's going to happen, right? Because you're having to move beyond your logical mind and get to the true feeling, the inner child. You're having to let the inner child express, right? Really tell you how it's feeling. So eventually, because none of this was working, I was like, do I believe that there's not enough to go around? Do I believe like, like, I don't know, like, I'm like, am I just jealous? Like, what's going on? Like, none of these feelings actually felt like I was getting that energetic relief. It didn't feel like I was actually getting to the root of the problem. And the actual answer here was, when I sat down and did this work, what was actually happening at the core was, when she was getting her manifestations, the reason why it was like I was getting this triggered feeling with her specifically is because I felt like she wasn't going to need me anymore, because I helped her on her manifesting journey, right? She leaned on me a lot, and then she obviously grew to a point where we're on, like, we help each other equally. So it's like, when she got to that point, I thought, oh, like, she's going to leave me now because she's not going to need me. And I had a really big abandonment wound. But to my adult logical mind, obviously that doesn't make sense, right? I'm just like, well, that doesn't fucking make sense. So why would I actually feel that way? But that was actually the core of the feeling. And when that came up and I was like, I feel like she's going to leave me, I feel like she's going to not need me anymore. And once that feeling came up, it was like oh my God, I know what the feeling is. I know exactly what it is. So great work. Yes, it was. I've done it with everything. I've done it, like, I used to get really, really scared whenever I would get abundance come in. So it's like I was manifesting clients and money and all of these things. And then whenever it would happen, I'd hold my energy to a certain point and then it would come through and I'd be like, oh my God, and I'd freak the fuck out. And for so long, again, I didn't know why this kept happening. I was doing the evidence building, I was doing the feeling, all of the stuff, but it was because there was a deeper underlying belief where my inner child was like, I'm scared. If I get this success, if I get the money, if I get the things, if I have money in my bank account, then I'm going to be responsible for everyone in my life, because that's what it was like for me growing up. But at the time, I couldn't see that that was happening. I couldn't see that there was a part of me that was scared and rejecting the success, because it didn't make sense to me, because my mind was like, of course I want it. It's what I'm manifesting. So why the hell am I freaking out every single time I get it, right? So this is why the why work is so powerful, because after you get to that root feeling, you get that release feeling and you're like, oh my God. So it dissipates a lot of the energy. And then there's this part of you, right, where you get to the root of your energy, and then when the feeling comes up in future again, because remember, this is pattern behavior, it will come up. So it's not going to have as much of an energetic hold over you, because you can see the core of the belief. You are actually addressing the belief. This is so powerful, right? So in the moments, like, let's use the example of Nadia again. Nadia gets a manifestation. I put my hand on my heart and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling my inner child. There's like the feeling of trigger. It's not as strong as it was, but it's there. I put my hand on my heart and I'm like, okay, I let my inner child express. I let her feel what she's feeling. She feels like Nadia's going to leave her. She feels like she's going to be alone and she's going to all of these things. And I'm like, okay, feel the things. And then I'm like, okay, now I have to parent my inner child. So this is when I'm like talking to my inner child and I'm like, you are safe. You are so safe. I'm reminding you that I'm here for you. I will never leave you. I will just, like, as you would a child, right? You parent them, you comfort them, you let them express, you hold them with love, right? And you remind them that you will always have their best interest at heart. I did the same when I noticed why I was freaking out. Every time my manifestations were coming in and I was freaking out, I'd sit there and I'd let myself feel this energy of freaking out. And then once the energy dissipates, I'd be like, you're safe. You've got this. I will never, ever let anybody cross your boundaries again. I'm like, I will never, ever let anybody cross your boundaries. You're not responsible for your entire family, surely they are responsible for themselves. You are responsible for you, right? So then I just remind myself of that work. And because I could do this work and calm my inner child, calm my nervous system, but I could go to the source of the actual problem, this ship shifted really fucking fast. Really fast. And it didn't take me into energetic loops and spirals because I was able to actually comfort the version of myself that was feeling scared in the moments, right? The actual inner child who was needing comforting, who was needing to be held in the moments that it came up. So let me know if that is all making sense. How are we feeling with that? Yes. Okay, good. Love the way why work is linked to inner child. Yeah. It's basically all inner child work when we do why work. I love how you teach us this. Yay. I'm so glad. Absolutely freaking loving it. It's actually so healing. Oh, I'm so glad that was my intention. Sad face because my inner child needs free parenting. But how beautiful that you can actually give your inner child reparenting as well. It is so beautiful. This is also constructive and helping us. I'm so excited. That was really my intention with this masterclass. I really wanted to be like, okay, step by step, limiting belief, doubt, resistance comes up. What do you do? I wanted it to be like super laid out, super simple, super easy. I do recommend like listening to this over and over and over again so it really lands. That's when you can really like get on board with it. Actually, it's very freeing to know you can reparent yourself even later in life. It really, really is. It is so powerful to know that. Okay, so it's so beautiful, like to be able to give your inner child the love and the healing it's looking for in the moments it needs it. So now after you have addressed, I'm so glad. Okay. So now after you've addressed having certain limiting beliefs with why work and evidence building exercises, remember they will continue to come up. They will continue to come up, but they will feel different. I do want to say that. They do come up, but they feel different. They feel less like they have an energetic like hold over you, like an energetic chokehold over you. They feel like they have less control over you, okay? They feel different. And this is when you know you've done the work correctly. This is when you know you've gone deep enough. This is when you know you've let yourself feel them and acknowledge them, right? Just remember the evidence building and the why work can also take time. So don't get hard on yourself if you're not getting all of the evidence you need in the moment, in like the first moment that you sit down, right? Don't be hard on yourself if you can't get to the root of why straight away. You will. You will get to the root of why so long as you have the focused intention to get there. And you know, in the moments that the feeling comes up, that's when you do the work. And then if you can't really get there, if it's like you're reaching a standstill, you can't find the evidence that you're looking for, whatever it is, walk away from the work. Walk away from it. Don't sit there and don't stay there. Just walk away. Focus on other things. Do other things in your life. You've set the intention. The next time the feeling gets triggered again, you can sit down and be like, okay, I'm like, do the work to figure out why, look for the evidence, right? And then you'll notice like as you let go, the evidence starts pouring in. As you sit down and do the why work, you get deeper and deeper and deeper every time. So you will do this work, right? It can be annoyingly repetitive as well. It can. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. It can be fucking annoying to sit there and figure out why the doubt is there, the resistance is there, the limitation is there. It can. But you need to choose your heart because it's equally as annoying to not get what you want, to never manifest your dreams, to watch other people do everything they've set out, like to do to get their manifestations while you sit on the sidelines never getting them. That's equally as shit, right? Choose your heart, be intentional, be consistent, do these practices for you, and you will manifest your desires. You will, because even as you start to do this work, even when like you're in the process of doing this, you will get your thing. You will get it. You will start to get pieces of your manifestations come on board. You will. As you're intentional with feeling and releasing and directing the energy to what you want, like I said, I've manifested the things that I've wanted when I was like the most fucked up energetically. I did it in the most fucked up way. Like I said, it nearly led to me sabotaging everything, but I still manifested it because that's what focused intention does. Focused intention will lead to what you want. That's just how simple it gets to be. This is how we normalize our new reality and the things that we want. And we create just a different relationship to life. We create a better relationship to life and to ourselves. I love that. Choose your hard. Yes. Choose your hard, because often, people get into it's just too hard and there's so much work. And it's like, sometimes it can feel like that. Sometimes it feels like so fucking annoying that you have to keep doing the work, but it's like, choose the work, choose the hard. It's also annoying to not get what you want. I'm having an insight. I feel like being a business owner is one of the biggest spiritual healing experiences. Oh, it is. I always say that it's so different to be like, being an entrepreneur is one thing. Being a spiritual entrepreneur is a completely fucking different ballgame. It is so healing. I agree. It's an act of self-love doing this work. It really is amazing. Okay. So the more consistent you are, the easier this process becomes. And the more practiced you are in doing this work, the less time you spend on it, right? So because I've spent so much time doing why work, doing evidence building, I don't have to sit there and work through my feelings. It's just a quick check-in, and I can draw off past evidence building practices, and I know what feelings are being triggered when certain things come up, right? And I know how to hold myself through them. I know exactly how to sit there with myself and parent myself through those feelings. So we're going to do a little check-in. I want you to play along here because I want this to land. So what is the first step? Oh, I just told you the first step. Okay, well, I was going to say, what is the first step when doubt, resistance, limiting beliefs come up? We feel them, we acknowledge them, we see them, we put our hands on our heart, we take a moment to feel them. We don't ignore them, we don't make ourselves wrong for having them, we feel them. That's the first thing, okay? Play along with the second one right now. So once the feeling has been released, which is what it would feel like when you have that feeling of release, what are you going to do, right? A negative emotion has come up. You've acknowledged and you felt it. What's your second step? Let me know in the comments. Yes, start feeling into your desired reality instead, right? We take a moment of feeling and healing, feeling and releasing, and then we take a moment to feel and release, and then we focus on our desired reality instead. We focus on what we want to attract into our life instead. So what do you do now so that's the next one. So what do you do now if the feeling keeps persisting, right? What happens if you still keep going into those old feelings of doubt? What are the two processes you can do? What if you feel like your manifestations keep, your limiting beliefs keep coming up, the resistance keeps coming up, the doubt keeps coming up? Why work or evidence building? Yes, perfect. That's exactly right. We go into the why work or we do the evidence building. It might be both. It might be one or the other. We go into that work, right? So you do this until you get the release. So let's say that you did the, I like both actually. I can see you using both. Yeah, for sure. I definitely use both as well. So we do the both and then we're like, okay, you go on with your life, you've done the why work, you've done the evidence building, but then bam, you're hit with the trigger in your reality that is bringing up these old feelings of doubt, resistance, and limiting beliefs. What do you do? So this is after you've gotten, you might have to do step 3 again, but let's say that you've gotten to the root of the why work and you've done the evidence building properly. So then you go about your reality, and then the same feeling comes up, like the same trigger activates a limiting belief, resistance, and doubt that you've already worked through, that you've done the why work and evidence building on. What would you do? Yeah, speak to your inner child, reassure safety. So you would just go back to the first point, right? You would do the exact same process because it's going to come up. It's patterned behavior, right? It's pattern behavior. It will come up, but it won't feel the same. So you're going to acknowledge and feel it. Put your hand on your heart. You're going to acknowledge and feel it. You're going to, in this acknowledge and feeling it, is when you draw upon the evidence that you've acquired to reprogram your mind in that moment, or you draw upon the why work that you've done. So you hold your inner child if that's what's needed in that moment. You reassure them. You let them know that they're safe, that you love them, that you've got their back, right? Once that feeling is released, you then anchor into the second step, which is your desired reality. So it's basically repeating all of this. So with the acknowledge and feeling it, when it's a why work trigger or an evidence building trigger, it's going to require you to draw upon the work that you've done there. So for example, I think I'm going to explain this soon about like how this works. Okay, I'll get into it in a second. So is that making sense? Amazing. So I did want to also quickly add here, like I said, with the reality building stuff, right? So when we're talking about brushing up against our old reality as we're creating our new reality, we will brush up against our past, right? This is why sometimes when we look at our reality, it's not as concrete as being like, oh, you're manifesting your past, therefore there is belief work to be done. So trust that you're going to know like when you need to look into it deeper, right? When you need to do the belief work, just through like self-awareness and just through being intentional with this work and yourself and how you feel and caring about how you feel. So you will know when to do what. But I don't want you to look at your old reality right now and see it as like that you failed and that you suck and that you can't manifest. Understand that as you bump up against your old reality and you manifest old things, this is your opportunity to see your reality through a different lens. This is your opportunity to see a different way of being, right? To step into who you are, to respond to your old reality through the new you, right? So, for example, I think this happened like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I can't remember. Time is so weird right now. So, I've been doing like a lot of abundance work as an entrepreneur. It's a lot of like, I work on my money mindset a lot, right? So, I had a large chunk of money, about $1,000, deposited from my bank account. It was a business expense and it happened completely out of nowhere. I wasn't aware that this was going to happen. So initially, I had a lot of like scarcity and fucked up wounds with money, right? So initially, and I've done the work to do the why work and the evidence building. So initially, I had a moment of constriction. I had a moment of worry. I had a moment of stress, of doubt, of holy shit, how am I going to pay this back? I did not expect this money to be taken from my bank account, right? So in the past, when things like this would happen, when I would have unexpected expenses, because that's what would happen, right? Because I had all of this internal underlying conflict that I wasn't addressing, I would manifest, whenever I would manifest money, I would manifest situations that resulted in me having to spend that money. So it's like I would call money into my reality, but then I'd manifest like the dogs would get sick and I'd have to take them to the vet, or something in my household would break and I'd have to spend money to fix that. My car would break down, like whatever it is. So I like noticed that this kept happening and I was like, okay, I've got really bad cycles of scarcity and lack with money. So let's like figure out what's going on. So I sat with myself, I did the work. So in this particular situation, this is as a result of doing the work that I just walked you through. I'm not blaming, I'm not shaming, I'm not making myself bad for having these feelings. I'm not making it mean anything. I'm like, okay, moment of constriction. I put my hand on my heart. I'm like, okay, let's feel it. Let's feel it. Let's feel it. Let's feel it. I let myself feel it. I let myself be scared. I let myself be like, well, how am I going to pay this back? What, blah, 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 right? So I did that. And in that moment, I let myself release it. I wasn't trying to change the feeling straight away. I was just like, no, let's release it. We release it. And then once I released it, I was able to then draw upon my why work and my evidence building work. So in that moment, I was able to be like, okay, talk to the inner child part of me that's scared. who has bad experiences with money from the past. And then I was able to draw upon evidence building exercises that I've anchored into, right? And I was able to take deep breaths and like calm my nervous system. And once I did this, once I felt good, once my inner child felt safe, once I felt that release, I was able to then refocus my intention to what I did want to create as well. What do I want my experience with money to be like? How do I want money to go for me? How do I want to feel with my bank account? How do I want to feel about money? The version of me that has this sort of expense coming out of her bank account, how is she feeling? Is she like, no sweat off my back? I don't have to worry about that. I'm like, that's what I want. So I started to feel into those feelings, right? And then from there, it took me less than a week to manifest the money back. Less than a week to manifest the money back, and then some. That is the power of doing this work. In the past, this used to fuck with me and it kept me in cycles of doubt, scarcity, because I wasn't doing these processes properly. And because I wasn't, what would happen is I'd manifest, like I'd literally sometimes even go months without manifesting any money at all. Thank you for sharing that. You are so welcome. This is the power of doing the work. Power of doing the work. Okay. So this is something I want you to just like check in. This is like your check-in point to be like, okay, I'm doing this work properly. I'm going deep enough. So as you focus what you want to do from here, what to do, where to go, you want to focus on living your best life right now, right? Living the life that you want to live to the best of your ability right now, drawing upon the feelings you want to have, right? Gratitude, abundance, like start creating those experiences in your life, because regardless of where you are, what you're experiencing, you can draw upon these feelings, right? And as you direct your energy to what you want to create, you notice the things that you desire. You may notice, you're going to notice funky energy come up. You're going to notice internal conflict, right? That's normal. You're going to notice the doubt and the resistance. As it comes up, do the necessary work. Is it that you just need to feel and release? Is it that you need to spend less time feeling and releasing and like more time actually directing your energy to what you want as well? Is it that you need to go into wire work and evidence building work? Do what you need to do, right? So as you do the necessary work to clear it, you are then consistent as you need to be with it, right? You continue to be consistent. You do this work because you care about yourself. And because of this, because you do this work, you're spending more time in the energy of what you desire and what you want your life to be like. It's easy to stay present. It's easy to be grateful. That is your dominant vibration. As a result of doing this work, you are more in the energy of what you want than what you don't want. That's when you know that you're doing this properly. You know where you're going. You know that you're a powerful creator. You have trust in yourself. You have trust in the universe. Your limiting beliefs, your doubt, your resistance, they don't have a chokehold over you. When it comes up, when these emotions come up, they don't have a chokehold over you. You aren't afraid to feel all of your emotions. You don't make yourself bad or wrong for having the feelings that you have, right? That is when you know that you've gone deep enough in the work. So that's going to be like a good check-in point for you to be like, okay, I'm doing the work, I'm doing the work, I'm doing the work. Like, this is what it should feel like. And I only say that because our ego loves to feel like our ego loves to be a little bit dramatic, and it loves to be in the energies of what we don't want, right? It loves to be in energies of this is hard and my life's the worst and blah, 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 blah. Like that's the healing cycle. I talk about that in Intuitive Edge. So this is your check-in point to be like, okay, I'm not going back into the healing cycle. So, do we have any questions? That is the end. That is everything I wanted to share. Oh my gosh, we were here for a good 2 hours. I had a feeling. I was like, this is going to be this is going to be a big one. But I really wanted to spend time and really work through everything properly. I wanted it to be so like simple and something that you can be like, okay, I have a negative limiting belief come up. What do I do? Where do I go from here? Oh, my video was not on. There we go. So how is that all feeling? Are we happy with that? Such an amazing morning. It's absolutely great information. Wait, thank you, Sheila. You are so lucky. Do we have any questions? Is this landing with everyone? Love this. Yes. Thank you all for making it to the 2 hours and being troopers. I definitely recommend. So good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I will have my usual medical related doubt, but I'll work on it. You will work on it. You will. Great reminders from Intuitive Edge. I love it. Yay. I'm so glad. Okay, so I do recommend re listening to this. Every time you listen to this, you're going to learn more. It's going to land deeper and deeper and deeper. So, if you do love this masterclass today, if you're like, holy shit, this was powerful, and you're not yet in Intuitive Edge, then you would want to get on that, because this is basically Intuitive Edge but on steroids. So Intuitive Edge is your next step if you really want to anchor into your internal guidance system, if you really want to create this like solid relationship with your intuition and get exactly what you want to manifest, like the exact like play by play on how to get to your desired reality and experience like quantum leaps in your reality by accessing desire. This is what we do in that program in Intuitive Edge. So it's so powerful, coupled with doing this work as well. So if it's something you're interested in, I'm going to be sending out an email after this. So it's $100 off for the next 72 hours, which is super exciting. But you are so welcome. Thank you so much to everyone who made the effort to come, who interacted. I loved it. It definitely helps me know that this is all landing. And yes, you're always so good with examples. Love that about you. I'm so glad. I find that it's my Virgo rising. I have to make it all logical and make sense. Thank you. Thank you. You are so welcome. Okay, I won't keep you guys here for any longer. I'm sending you all so much love, and we'll stay connected on socials, I'm sure. Okay, bye. It was so good to see all your faces. Bye, bye, bye.